Hey guys, I'm Ray, and we are streaming blacksmithing. As long as we stay stable. Give me just 1 second. I gotta turn on my light and stuff. Um, so we started out a little bit on the unstable side. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we will stay stable from here on out, and we won't have to deal with the instability of my internet. It's not. There's no storms coming. It's not windy. There's no reason for it to be stupid. So fingers crossed. All of the whatever from starting the stream, and we'll be smooth from here on out. All right. So today I am still a little bit uh, less than ideal as far as my breathing is concerned. So I really what happened is last Wednesday, I was getting ready to to start our new project, which is the coal forge. And so I went out and I selected a sheet of sheet steel, and I looked to see like what sort of like edge steel I had and things like that. So my sheet steel was a little bit rusty, and so I decided that I was going to uh, use the wire brush and take it off before I had a chance to, or before I had to, or I was going to show it to you guys. And unfortunately, that took a lot more out of me than I had expected. So at that point, I had already run through all of the stamina that I had. So unfortunately, I had to cancel Wednesday. And I was also starting to have a little bit of brain fog, which is another symptom of my long-term illness. So, welcome in, everybody. So I'm feeling a little bit, I'm still not 100% of what I normally would be while streaming. So I have to change the project just a little bit. I'm going to take some extra time and do a little bit more of the wire brushing on that sheet steel over the weekend, so I can take a little bit more time to finish it. So I noticed that so this is a soapstone, and if you don't know, or if you're not like a welder or anything, you might not know what exactly this is used for. But basically, this is a piece of chalk that will actually survive the heat from welding or the forge, right? So it's awesome to be able to like draw out your patterns and things like that on your metal, and it'll stay there. And normally it's really brittle, so when you drop it in things, it'll just shatter, right? So normally you put it in one of these guys, and this is a soapstone holder. This one I bought from Lowe's a long time ago, but for whatever reason, it's just not working correctly, and it's like really loose, and so this is a piece of garbage. So I'm nothing if not resourceful, and I'm a blacksmith, so why not make one? So we are going to make a soapstone holder today. So I have cut this like little piece of round 1/2 inch stock, and we're going to use this to make, a better handle for our soapstone. So I've got this guy right here, which is almost the same size as the soapstone. And we're going to use this kind of as a die to kind of help us when we get to the point where we, need to start like the little holder section. So that's what we're going to do today. And I'm thinking that because my breathing is still a little bit ick, I am probably going to use the press to do the drawing down and the extra effort work. So that is the plan for the day. I was gonna say peanut. I was gonna say peanut until it works, but yeah, make it yourself. You can't repair that thing with a hammer. Maybe it just needs to be a bit tighter. Yeah, I mean, I could probably fix it, but it's like a little aluminum piece of crap. So I just, you know, if I make one myself, it's just going to be prettier. It's, you know, something to do. So I looked up a few different plans for a project, and I think I'm going to follow one. So basically, what it is, it's we make a little flap section so that we can wrap it around the soapstone. And so this is going to be the little die so that we can, you know, wrap the material around it while it's still hot. And we don't like break our soapstone when we're trying to shape the hugging section. And then we are going to take the bottom end, we're going to draw that down and kind of make a loop so that we can have like a handle for it. So yeah, that's kind of what I have in mind for that. I would make it into 10 kinds of ugly with washers and screws and it still wouldn't work. I mean, like I said, it's like an aluminum piece of crap. It just, you know, it's not worth fixing. I've had several of these, and every single one that I've owned has broken on me. So, you know, I might as well. So that's what we're gonna do today. So first things first, as always, we're gonna light the forge. I'm gonna move these two pieces here so I can set that right there. Ha. First try, right? All right. If ever you hear a gas forge puffing like that, make sure you immediately turn it off. You can try or to light it again. But if it's puffing like that, then there is always a chance that it is going to back up into the hose and like that flame and cause lots of problems. So we're going to try this again. All right. Fine. If you don't want to cooperate, I'm going to change this tank real fast. And I know that I don't have that aimed correctly so you guys can watch me do that. So I'm going to do that. All right. I guess it's all right to do this very first thing, right? So as you guys can kind of see up there, I actually hung the smithy sign. Hopefully you guys can still hear me and my body isn't blocking the signal. This should still be full. I don't know what the problem is on that, but I do have a brand new tank, and so might as well just, you know, open a new one, right? Alrighty. Let's see if we can't make this happen this time. We're gonna get some blacksmithing done, I promise. Alright, there's that. Open that. Alright. Seems pretty good. Let's try this again. There we go. Goodness gracious. Haha, that is so much better. I can live with that. Okay. And now we're gonna put our steel in there so it can heat up. Gotta be careful because it is still round and I don't want it to roll around in there. All right. Don't need that one yet, but I do need these. We go back and forge with fire. Yes. Greetings, ping. Sounds fine in the camera for some reason. That's actually probably because I have a lot of noise cancellation within the microphone. So you probably can't necessarily hear the popping that I was hearing, but there was a lot of uneven flow within the forge when the first two times that I tried to start it. And like I said, when you get that uneven puffing sound, that is, it's dangerous because it is basically igniting and blowing itself out over and over. So that like it's igniting quickly, and at that point it could very well suck that up inside the tubing and into the propane, and that could cause a major issue. Boom. You have the full word smithy. I do. It's there. It's up there. The full word. I'm really excited about it. I think it looks pretty decent. And here, I'm going to move this over here just a little bit. That way you can kind of see the press since we're going to be using that today. So yeah, I do have the full smithy word up there. So the only thing we're missing on the raise smithy side sign is the raise section of that. So I'm hoping that this weekend I'll be able to kind of, if I can manage to get all of the rust off of my sheet steel in time and still like, have some stamina, I might start working on that sign. I think that it would be really cool to have that within the next couple weeks, so that it's raised smithy and not just smithy. And I mean, it's all right if it's just smithy for a while because this is a smithy. So yeah, maybe the T could go a bit further to the right. On first glance, it looks like smithy. Maybe. I did kind of see that a little bit when I was hanging it up there, but I was kind of trying to give an equidistant gap between all of the different letters, and I think you guys might be right. I think maybe if I shift everything down just a little bit further, because that T is a lowercase t. So I don't know. I'll probably take a look at it again, and maybe I'll shift it for Monday. We'll see. So, like I said, the plan is to use the press today for doing the drawdown on the tail of this project. And I plugged in the air compressor, and I think it's full, but I thought that I turned it on and it didn't start compressing the air. So I think it's full, but we'll see if it's, if it's gonna work. Every once in a while, like the circuit on the outlet that it's on blows, and then I'll have to like go down in the basement and kind of flip the surge or like the circuit. So we'll see if it should function. So hopefully, I don't have to go down to the basement. Do you need a press pass to use it? Sorry, long week. I mean, it is a very dangerous tool, and I'm sure that if it was in my college shop, I might have to, do safety training for it. So maybe a press pass would be something, that would be required for in certain shops. I mean, I don't really do shop security like classes here for my shop equipment because I've already done that sort of thing mostly. But yeah, I don't know. We could totally like hang a press pass on it though. Like, you know, with like a little lanyard and everything. Maybe it needs its own press pass. Maybe just use a marker over the shiny nails. I think the glint that makes it look connected. Interesting. I thought those things were rather German. The only safety anyone needs is safety squints. I mean, I am a big proponent of safety equipment, PPE, personal protective equipment. And while I joke about, you know, safety third and whatnot, I do want to make sure and hit home that, like, safety equipment is incredibly important. You know, you only have one set of eyes and ears, and, you know, you want to take care of that so that you can continue to you know, blacksmith and for many years to come. But yeah, welcome to the stream. Welcome everybody. Hello. Wow, we've got a raid. Create with Candace is raiding with a party of 14. Welcome in. Can we get a shout out? Thank you so much. Welcome in, everybody. Yeah, I like to rely on my speed and skill to keep me safe. I'm not particularly fast nor skilled, though. So, I mean, you know, that be, you know, the case sometimes. So, and when that is the case, then you want to make sure that you have, you know, the safety equipment, you know. Also, like, I use headphones specifically because I can't hear myself speaking to you guys over the roar of the forge and especially the press. So, by, you know, using the headphones, it kind of allows me to hear myself inside my head, you know, so it's like that echoey sound inside your head, you know. I can't even hear that when I don't have these on. Hello, welcome in. Welcome, Raiders. So today we are making a soapstone holder. So this right here is a piece of soapstone, and this is a tool that is used by blacksmiths, metal workers, welders of all types. And basically, this is a chalk that will survive all of the heat inside of a forge or at a welding table, or, you know, grinding and things like that. So it is essential for kind of like marking, you know, measurements and things like that. So normally, or these are really brittle, and so when you drop them on the floor, they have a tendency to shatter, and it makes them really unusable. So usually they come with these guys, and this is a soapstone holder, but this guy is made out of like aluminum, and it's a piece of crap. And so it doesn't fit my soapstone, and it won't stay in here. Every time I try and use this, I end up dropping this. So I decided that I'm going to make my own, since I'm a blacksmith and I can do things like that. Making tools to make tools. I came because I saw the word stone. Yeah, it is technically, it's like a stone. So they do quarry the soapstone, and it's kind of like when you were a kid and you would take the rocks, like, you know, the gravel rocks, and you kind of like draw on the sidewalk with them. I mean, I guess that's an American thing, but that I did that as a kid, so it's kind of the same concept. But like I said, this chalk will survive the heat of the forge and the heat of the welder. So I'm going to be doing a major welding project starting on Monday. So I need a way to denote my measurements and where I want to cut. So I figured I'd make myself a soapstone holder. So yes, welcome in everybody. Sassy Cat, thank you so much for that follow. And Ping cheered for 100 bits. Thank you so much for those bits, Ping. I very much appreciate the support. Welcome to the community, everyone. Dude, your X-Acto knife sucks. It doesn't cut anything. Yeah, I mean, it definitely doesn't. It's more like, you know, you try to cut something with your stone and it'll just break. It's pretty brittle. So I've got to be really, really careful that as I'm like, you know, discussing this, that I don't accidentally drop it, because we may see how brittle it is, you know, as I drop it. So we shall see. So we are also going to be using the press. This is a hydraulic press, and it also has a pneumatic component to it. So I have an air compressor over there, and it feeds air into the pneumatic press and pushes the plunger down, and it'll squish all of the material. So when we get that far, I have a second camera that is going to get you a little bit closer to that press so that you guys can see what's going on. Gotta switch those out at some stores as a prank sometimes. Next to where they break down boxes. I mean, maybe. I used to work at a Lowe's, which is a United States based hardware store, like a large box hardware store. And they used to give us box cutters that we would keep in our aprons, because part of our uniform was an apron and it had pockets. So we had box cutters in our apron. So, you know, everybody had their own and that they were responsible for it. So, you know, harder to do pranks like that when everybody's aprons are in their lockers, but it would be a fun prank. Thank you so much for the follow, Create with Candace. I will definitely follow you back as soon as the stream is over. Thank you so much for this raid. It is so early in the stream to have so many people. All right. Let's see. Is it hot enough yet? We are starting to get to the point where it's hot at the tip of the material, but the heat needs to draw back into the whole of the material, because what we're going to start with is we're going to start with the first we're going to start by squishing right behind the first 1 inch of the bar that we are heating. So we've got the first inch is hot, but nothing behind it. So I want to make sure that the whole bar is nice and hot, so all of the material will evenly stretch. So yeah. The wedge is starting to come out of my hammer again. Yep, it is. Let's see. Much more better. So if it decides to fall out again, I have a second hammer. This is a 2-pound hammer. It's about 1 kilo is what I heard that translates to. So about 1 kilograms, and or 2 pounds imperial standard. And I have 2 of these hammers now. One of them I demonstrated dressing the hammer faces on. And so now I have 2 2-pound hammers, or 1 kilo hammers. So as a blacksmith, or any metalsmith really, you want to make sure that the faces of all of your hammers that are going to make contact with the metal itself are very clean, and there's no dings or bumps in them, because all of that marring on the face of the hammer will transfer onto your metal, and it's a pain in the butt to grind that all off. So we want to make sure that all of these faces are really nice and pristine. They don't have to be quite mirror finish unless you're doing semi-precious metals or precious metals like sterling silver, gold, platinum. But with steel, it's less important to get mirror finish on that. Gotta switch those out at some point. Oh yes, I already read that one. Wow. Sometimes. Man, I really thought that I had gotten rid of all of the hornets that are in the nest over by the window. We have sprayed those guys like so many times, and they are back. So when I was setting up today, there was no hornets there, and now there's one over there. So as long as I don't bother it, he won't bother me. But I gotta make sure that this weekend I spray again. But if you see it flying around, you know, we'll just be quiet and hopefully, it'll leave us alone. All right. So we're starting to get a little bit of heat. I think I'm going to turn up the forge just a little bit more. There we go. So when you start up a gas forge, sometimes it takes a little bit of time to really start heating up. And because I just started that guy, it needs just a little bit more time. How do you keep your hammers upkept? Is that as important for your anvil to be a fine surface? So yes, it is. If your anvil face has a bunch of like mars and nicks and scars in it, those will also transfer onto your material. And my anvil specifically has a lot of mars in it, and there are a few places on my anvil face that are really nice and pristine, and that's where I use the anvil. But part of the reason I don't refinish the face of my anvil is because I don't want to lose the material. Because if I grind it off, then I will have less to work with, and it's just it's more important for a tool steel welded plate anvil than my anvil, because my anvil, the plate is broken on that. But when you have a tool steel anvil face, you want to make sure that you lose as little of that as possible. So, if you keep your face pristine, it'll help, but it's not essential. And you can also, use flatters and things to help with that a little bit. To clean the face of my own hammerheads, typically I will either use a bench grinder like I have behind the camera, or I will use an angle grinder. And what I mean by an angle grinder is one of these guys. You turn it on and the grinding just spins. So I use that, and then there are these nifty discs over here, and they are called sanding flat discs. So these are like little tiny cards of sandpaper, and it'll go onto the angle grinder. You can get these in a variety of grits. So I use a angle grinder with like a grinding disc, and then I use flat discs. And then if I'm going really, really fine, I will use car body sandpaper on that as well. I like the rough, unpolished look of my anvil. It sounds like a heck of a project to grind that all down. Yeah, and that is part of the reason why I've never really refaced my anvil. What I could do is, right now my anvil, half of the tool steel face is missing. So if I were to buy a new plate of tool steel, I could, in theory, weld that back on, and it would work beautifully. But in order to do that properly and not have it pop right off, I would have to be able to heat up my entire anvil so that the temperature of the anvil and the plate of steel that I'm welding on is a similar temperature to the welding bead itself. And if you don't do that, it has a tendency to not penetrate as deeply or lock in, and you risk breaking off more of that anvil as you use it in the future. So I just kind of, use it like it is. And like I said, there's a couple places that are really nice and flat, and I use those specifically. And then I avoid the major flaws in the top. Is that Bluesy I see? Welcome in, Bluesy. That's a really nice anvil too. I have a little $80 Harbor Freight anvil. You can do it, I assure you. Just use a flamethrower. I mean, I do have a brush burner, and that thing can get really, really hot to the point where I actually use that brush burner to melt bronze before. So I made a giant forge just like this one, out of a 55-gallon metal barrel, like drum. So like the crude oil barrels, like they're like, yay tall and, about, yay round. And I lined it with the fire refracting wool, and they call it kale wool. And I used a brush burner, and it just vortexed in there, and it got so hot that it melted bronze, and I got to pour bronze in it. So you can use a brush burner to heat things really hot. So, lots and lots of things. Fun things. All right, so we are about as hot as I need it to be. So once this ad is completed, because it looks like there's an ad coming, once that's done, we will start up the press. We'll change angles on the camera, and we'll see. We'll get this project started. Still not hot enough to melt my ex's heart. I'm kidding. She was fine. It just felt like the right joke. I mean, it was a funny joke. I like dad jokes. We encourage all the dad's jokes here on Ray Smithy. The stream. I really like them. Sometimes I don't read them correctly, and so I kind of make them less funny by explaining them, but, it still works. All right, let's see if I can't do that while adjust that strap while I, with avoiding messing with my microphone. There we go. That's better. Alrighty. Let's see. Looks like everything's set up over there. And we've got about 16 more seconds on that ad, so we are just about ready. Alrighty. Let's see about this. Okay. Bra straps, the bane of all women, right? I had an instructor who told me I should embed magnets in my shoulders so that it wouldn't fall over or fall down. Okay, let's see. Is there going to be a good spot for an inset? There, maybe? I think that'll be all right. Okay. I'm going to turn on the record function on my cameras real fast. And then we will be good to go. All right, guys, let's get going. If I can get the metal out of the without problems, that would be great. All right. Getting rid of the brick. Okay. Alrighty, and hopefully you guys can still hear me. Usually you can, even with the air compressor going. So basically what I did was I left myself a good bit of material at the very end of that piece, and then I crushed the piece after that material, and I'm going to start drawing that back. And so I want to make a really long skinny bar with a nub at the end. And that nub is going to create a slot that the soapstone can get inside. So kind of hold it like this. And then that tail, we're going to wrap it around and have it kind of dig in and hold that piece of soapstone. The hydraulic press is just a hydraulic jack between a couple beams. You need a hydraulic jack if you have a flat tire. There I have given you all the excuses you need to get one. Yes, they are really nice, honestly. I love these guys, and I mean, it's 20 tons of pressure squishing that hot material. So it's a lot of fun to play with, and you know, although you definitely want to be careful not to put your hand in there, and you know, because you'll crush bone. So yes. Thanks, but I need a pretty complicated setup. I break gemstones out of ore, and a lot of them. Interesting. So, are you a gem cutter? I am a journeyman jeweler. I used to work for Signet jewelry, like supply stores, and or I guess Signet Incorporated, like the jewelry conglomerate. And I left that job at a journeyman level. So I finished an apprenticeship in jewelry and all that sort of stuff. I am capable of, you know, setting stones and doing all kinds of different jewelry jobs. I'm a gem miner and cutter. Interesting. That is a very interesting job. I've seen a few videos of people doing that sort of stuff, but I've never, like, you know, seen a live demo of it in real life. Hey, Boston, welcome to the stream. Welcome in, welcome in. Yay, is that a dancing kitty or is it a dog? It's adorable. I like the dancing things. There is like an emote going around Twitch. It is a dancing hedgehog. I really want to get that one for our channel at some point in the future. It's really adorable. It's like a hedgehog and it like shakes its butt and things. It's funny. It is a rat. Rats are absolutely adorable. So I had a friend when I was in junior high, which it would be 8th grade. So like my, I guess, 9th year in school, we were moving from a lower level school to an upper level school, a high school. And for our graduation, one of my friends brought her pet rat to graduation. And she ended up getting pulled out of graduation because she brought the rat with her. But it was absolutely adorable. I loved petting it. It was so cute and soft. I can't have one myself though because I have a cat. And I don't think they would get along very well. Yes. Yeah, she brought her pet rat. Because I mean, I guess, you know, she didn't think it was all that important. to attend graduation or whatever. And so we're all sitting there, and she's got her rat, and it's like, hiding in her robes and things. And she pulls it out, and we started petting it and stuff because we were sitting next to each other. It was kind of funny. All right. So I'm going to do another heat over at the press. And then from there, we're going to actually turn the piece around. We were kind of establishing a good isolated section for that nub. All right, so I think we were happy with that one. I put these two too close together. All right, struggle bus on this forge. There we go, much more better. So we turned this guy 90 degrees, and now we're crushing him again. Alrighty, and so we've got this little section right here at the end, and this is our designated section where we're going to kind of widen this out, flatten it out so that we can actually hold onto the soapstone in a little slot that we create. So all of the rest of this material can get drawn down really nice and thin into a whip-like tail. Then we're going to bend it all the way around to kind of like a rat tail, so it kind of, holds the soapstone in place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it around, and we're going to use the nub to hold it while we're drawing out that really long tail. Today it is kind of on the cooler side, which is really, really nice. It's about 69 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm not entirely sure what that is in Celsius. I know I need to actually pay attention to that, but unfortunately I don't have that conversion. So yeah, it's about 69 degrees Fahrenheit here in my shop, and so it's actually really comfortable. It doesn't when it gets much hotter than that in here, the forge will increase the temperature exponentially, and it gets so hot that I'm just constantly drinking water and Gatorade to kind of rehydrate myself. It is very important to keep yourself hydrated here in the shop, and make sure that you get all of those electrolytes and salts back in your system. 69, nice. 69 Fahrenheit, nicely. 20-ish Celsius, okay. Just in case it came off wrong, he specifically asked me if I know any highly skilled jewelers. I didn't mean it if you're looking for literally anything, but if you need a job. I think I missed the start of that. Let's see if I can't find that. Oh, if you need a job, one of the jewelers I sell to just asked me if I knew anyone. Oh, yeah. I am actually not in a physical state where I can do jewelry anymore. I'm barely in a state where I can, hold a job, to be quite honest. back in 2020, I got very, very sick, and I'm sure you guys can guess what I had. And unfortunately, that kind of screwed up my lungs very, very badly. And it also kind of affects my brain a little bit. The oxygen just can't get, through my bloodstream and into my brain as well as it used to. So I have some really bad days where I just can't keep a thought, and I can't predict those days. So I work for myself here, streaming, and I also do. I make videos for YouTube. So anytime I'm able to, come out to the shop and make videos, I do, and that's how I, try to support myself. I also have, a very supportive partner who, I live with and helps support me. So I get by. So yep. I wasn't fully serious. I was just worried it may have come off condescending. You were like ignoring that comment. No, I completely missed it. So I have a very short, like, because I use OBS, and so there's like this little like add-on module that I. All right. So it looks like that tail end of our piece is starting to heat up, and that's a good thing. So we're going to start drawing down from the very tip, and what we want to do is we want to get a really nice, long, skinny section, and that way we can wrap that around and make a good handle. All right, let's do another heat. Yes. I think we've been using that configuration properly. If we start at the tip, we can kind of switch that down, and it's the hottest at the tip because it's always going to be the skinniest. And I have, let's see, seems like it'll be all right for the moment. Same issue, different day. All right. So I normally use a nice wedge in there so that it holds my dye a little bit better, and it fell out because it's kind of a makeshift solution, and we've always discussed this. It seems like there we go, that should maybe work a little better. I don't know, maybe it won't. It's a little bit on the makeshift side, and I just like touched my microphone. I'm sorry about that. That pop. We have to donate a few buckets of internet. I missed the drop. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I am doing my best to encoding overloaded. Interesting. That's something that I've not seen before. the encoding overload. I wonder. Alright. I'm going to stop streaming for the moment. We're going to try this again. I'm going to... Yes. I said stop streaming. Can I lower the bit rate? I don't know.